Hey everyone, Nubkeks here, and welcome back to another raid boss preview for patch 9.1, the Sanctum of Domination raid. A raid which is shaping up to, I think, be an absolute standout raid. It is phenomenal. And guys, in today's video, guess who is back? Garrosh Hellscream. Yes, this is where he has been in the Shadowlands. He was teased in the Venthyr trailer, Covenant trailer, before the expansion released, and this is where he is being tortured by the boss for today, Soulrender Dormazain. Yeah, something like that. So what is going on with this boss? Well, this boss is kind of like I would say it's kind of like a better Sun King Salvation in a way. It's kind of like Kael'thas, where, yeah, Garrosh is in the back of the room being tortured just like Kael'thas was, and you're kind of trying to help him out. Let's talk about the first big mechanic this boss does, which is called Torment, which I think people have said it's actually very like the Helgen dance from Naxxramas. Yeah, it's really, really cool. Basically, the platform, you can see it visually on the ground, is split up into 4 different pizza slices. I like pizza slices, apparently. That is how I'm describing, I feel, every single boss in this raid so far is the pizza slice mechanics. This boss has one too. You have 4 of these areas on the ground. He is going to cover 3 of them in red stuff, which explodes. It's bad. You have to get into the safe area. One of the things that's really cool about this is that the visual for this basically starts in the back of the room, and then these slices fill in towards Garrosh, so you kind of have to be looking towards the back of the room and make your way across. It's a really awesome looking mechanic. Again, on Heroic, the initial fight part of this is relatively straightforward. There are a bunch of swirlies that will shoot in, and I actually forgot to get hit by one. Humble brag. So I don't actually know what those do. They're bad though, I assume, but those swirlies kind of come in on top of the pizza slices, make it a bit harder to dodge. One interesting thing that the boss then does as well is that irregularly throughout the fight, like, you know, every minute, let's say every 2 minutes or so, he's going to do Echo of Torment, where he's going to do 5 of these moves in a row. So essentially, you know, 5 times in a row, very, very quickly, much faster, he's going to do these torments. So you're going to be running from pizza slice to pizza slice. It seemed that the final one was always running from one side of the room to the other, so you have to go and do that very quickly. So things like Druid Roar, Stampeding Roar, Windrush Totems, Warlock Gateways, anything like that is going to be pretty important to get out of that stuff quickly, because, yeah, it's actually quite punishing. You don't have a ton of time. One of the reasons then I say this fight is a bit like Kael'thas is that you have a mechanic much like the Soul Infusers from Kael'thas. The boss is going to spawn in 4 Agonizers around the edges of the room, and these mobs are going to run towards the middle, towards Garrosh, where they're going to, you know, torture him or do something bad. I don't know, it's bad. You don't want this to happen. So what you have to do is group these up and just nuke them down. Our group, we weren't actually super effective at this, but again, all of these mobs are fully CCable, fully controllable. So you can, on Heroic difficulty, just literally just grip them all under the boss, knock them all in under the boss, and just AoE cleave them all down. One interesting thing that's happening at the same time is the boss will do a brand of Torment, which I believe has the same graphics as one of the mechanics from Mythic Argus back in Antorus, the Burning Throne. But what this does, this is quite cool actually, is this will do ticking damage to anything apart from the boss that's within the circle. So yeah, it will actually damage friendly players, but it will also damage the adds. On top of that, it will also slow the adds down, and it will also make them take some bonus damage as well. So you had like 2 of these brands at a time, so it's just making sure that players position these brands on top of those adds, slow them down, they take bonus damage, you can blow them up easily. And now, I know you're saying, man, I wish Garrosh was a bit more involved in this. What is Garrosh up to, apart from, you know, he's obviously involved in this torment and stuff, and they're trying to torture him, but what more can he do? Well, you're in luck, because we have a big mechanic called Hellscream, where Garrosh he's getting really mad, he's not happy. You know, he heard that Sylvanas is coming in and stealing his thunder as being, you know, the evil war chief. He's not happy with that. That's his shtick, he says. Don't be copying me. He's pissed off, so he does Hellscream. This is essentially a big cast that Garrosh is going to do, and if it goes off, he is just going to wipe your raid in a matter of seconds with his Hellscream. How do you stop him? Well, there are these 3 chain posts in front of Garrosh, so you have to grab the chain and pull it away, which will then snap the chain. you have to snap all 3 chains, which will then stun and interrupt Garrosh. It will stop him from wiping you out. And you're only here trying to help him, the big idiot. The thing that makes this a bit tricky is that when you snap a chain, it does a massive chunk of raid-wide damage. So if you do as we did on our first pull, and you snap all 3 at once, it will insta-wipe the raid. Everyone will die. Not good. So you essentially have to space these chains out. Just make sure that you snap them staggered out, that you have healing cooldowns ready to cover that, and that you're all good. On heroic difficulty then, that is actually the fight. Yeah, that is actually the entire fight. So we did kill this boss. Because we kind of saw all of it. But yeah, essentially you are, dodging these torment slices on the ground, finding the safe space, dodging the swirlies that the boss is going to throw out, CCing, controlling, AoE nuking down the adds, gripping them all together, making sure to place the tormented brands on top of them so that you can debuff them and nuke them. When the chains come in, you're spacing out those chain snaps, making sure to not kill the raid, but still to snap the chains quickly enough that you do interrupt Garrosh and stop him from casting. And then, of course, you've got the big Echoes of Torment, or Encore of Torment, I think it actually is called. Shout out to Council of Blood with the Encore. But yeah, the Encore of Torment, where you have to just, again, you're doing the safety dance, the Heigen safety dance, dodging lots of these different slices all in a row. Quite cool. It felt certainly that the boss had a fair chunk of health. This was, I think, about a 7-minute fight for us. Although, again, that being said, because we were experimenting, we weren't super efficient with grouping up the adds and AoE nuking them down. So I think if you did that, you would cut this fight down a little bit, but it's relatively long. On heroic, I think maybe it might be a little bit easy, to be honest. Like, certainly compared to the last video we did, the Remnant of Ner'zhul, my goodness, that fight is so much harder than this one, for example. But I still think this is pretty cool. I think one of the big Mythic mechanics is that when he summons in adds, he's also going to summon in like this super duper add, which gives CC immunity to any of the adds that it's near. So I think that will definitely add a lot more spice to the fight for sure, where you have to make sure that you nuke down the big add. It's a big serious DPS check to kill off that add, the big one, before it gets to the middle of the room. Once it gets to the middle of the room, I think it makes every single add in the entire room totally immune to CC, which is, almost an insta wipe. But it's going to be something like, just controlling the small guys off to the side, hopefully trying to group them up and start AoEing them down with some AoE CDs perhaps, while you single target nuke this big guy. Should be pretty cool. So definitely, specs that do have that priority target damage will find some good use here, right? They're going to have some good use where they can nuke down that big ad quickly. Your big single target burst classes, you will want some of them. Reminds me a lot of Ashara, actually. Mythic Ashara, I think was this mechanic in Heroic as well? I don't remember. But on Mythic Ashara, you had like the big spider thing, which would try to run to the middle of the room and you had to nuke it down. Kind of like that. Very like that. Or again, like Feta Devourer, kind of like that as well. Big single target damage check is what it looks like for Mythic to nuke that down. And then you also have that AoE damage, right? That cleave damage of killing all the little ads. That's also going to be somewhat important. Or having, grips, Sigil of Chains, Death Knight grips, knockbacks from like Typhoon from Druids, for example. All that stuff is going to be really strong to get those little lads into the positions that you want them to be in. That could be very, very important, which I think is pretty interesting. Like for me, again, it sort of captures the essence of what the Kael'thas boss fight was about. Obviously, it's different. Like Kael'thas was more of a healer fight, but it sort of captures the essence of what was going on there with ad control, with having to dodge and watch out for these abilities on the floor. It sort of captures that essence in a way that's, I think, a little bit more enjoyable, a little bit more fun. So yeah, I think this boss looks pretty cool. I'm interested to see what it does on Mythic. Certainly on Heroic, like I said, we did kill this one. We felt that we had it figured out reasonably quickly, and it wasn't too bad to actually take him down. So yeah, we shall see. But there you go, guys. So let me know what you think of Soulrender Dormazain and Garrosh, his friend, and I will see you next time. Thank you for watching, everyone. Bye-bye.
Third boss or something?
Fifth?
No loot. No loot. Cool.